Your voice, your vote, and we're just days away from being able to cast a ballot either by mail or at the polls. But mounting concern tonight and questions on whether more security measures may be necessary to protect you and your vote. ABC 15's Nicole Valdez finding out if you can trust you'll be safe at the polls.
I'm urging my supporters to go into the polls and watch very carefully.
That statement made just minutes after President Trump riled up right-wing groups like the Proud Boys Tuesday night.
Stand back and stand by.
The Proud Boys and other extremist groups like Boogaloo have been seen at protests heavily armed. So will they bring their guns to your polling place to do more than watch you line up to vote? We asked Maricopa County Election Day Director Scott Jarrett.
Should voters be worried about going to the polls this year?
Absolutely not. Voters should, if they want to cast a ballot in person, they should not be worried. They should come to our polls.
He assures there are people in place that won't allow intimidation. Poll workers, inspectors.
And then we also have a marshal, and their role is to walk through the polling location, make sure that no one within the polling location is performing any sort of action or behavior that could impede or intimidate another voter.
They're trained to de-escalate any situation that could scare or discourage voters on site. But there's a fourth group to remember will be there, poll watchers. You might remember the president mentioned them, too.
Poll watchers, a very safe, very nice thing.
In Arizona, we call them political party observers. We welcome those political party observers into the polling location. However, they do need to work with the county chair for each political party to be able to perform that function. And then they would need a letter with actually a wet signature to come to our polling locations.
He says those parties also have to provide counties a list of names, so not just anyone can show up, despite the president's seeming call to action.
That may be a concern for some voters, but we are doing everything within the election department to be prepared, no matter what that situation may present itself.
What about law enforcement, though? The elections department says they work with the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office, but
the Sheriff's Office is not going to be around any of our locations. What we have is they are assigned different regions of the valley, and then we can call them if there was a situation, and then at that point in time, and only as a last resort, would they go to a vote center.
When we asked MCSO, though, they painted a different picture, telling us in the past MCSOs had judicial enforcement deputies at the polls, sometimes even in uniform, to ensure everyone is complying with regulations and address any complaints that may arise. This year, they told me they'd instead have deputies outside the polls in plain clothes and unmarked vehicles standing by. That contradicts election officials.
There will be not anything that's out of the norm. They'll be performing their normal patrol activities, but nothing above and beyond what they've done on any other day, whether it's early voting, whether it is election day, or whether there's not an election going on at all.
Phoenix Mayor Kay Gallego chiming in, addressing the heightened concern, saying in part, it is disturbing to see the specter of voter intimidation being raised at our country's highest level. This subject is top of mind for us, and we intend to protect the sanctity of the right to vote. So what can you truly expect at the polls? Well, MCSO clarifying say they will actually not be outside. They'll just be in the area. So no major uniformed police or law enforcement presence there. However, if groups do decide to show up, whether they be armed extremists or other groups, Arizona law requires they stay at least 75 feet away from a polling location. The same rules that apply to anyone who's trying to solicit your vote. I'm Nicole Valdez, ABC 15, Arizona.